So we'll just see here, okay, so people who have done some homework, just go through this pretty quick. Um, so this is defects. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is how you have to link this, okay, that's good. Because if you're linking right, we will know which defects belongs to which test case, okay, whose test case is that, whose defect is there. If you link it, you'll be able to know. Not just you, it's actually for lead, because your lead will be checking, okay, what you have done and what not. So that's for you. Okay, so this is about Rally pretty much. So we'll just go here pretty quick. So once you here, so by today, I'll be giving you access to Google Drive. Okay, so you'll be having access, and you can see there's a lot of things. Okay, um, I and I don't expect it to know everything at once. You can just go one after the other. Okay, you can just view those and at your convenience. Okay, whenever you're free, it doesn't have to be today or tomorrow, but you can. Okay, so today, we talk about, various documents. Okay, there's a various documents um, that we'll be using in QA. Okay, not just QA, but overall documents. This is about documents. Okay, and and again, this is really not, so people who are think that this is the thing you need to know first. I mean, it's not really required because this is not linked with anything. Okay, these documents, of course, you need to know these documents, but as I told you, there was an interview question. Okay, sometimes there is no documents. Okay, sometimes there is no documents. So there was an interview question that I asked, right? Let's say there is no documents, okay? This question is, let's say there's no documents, no BRD, no FRD, how are you going to proceed with your testing? Okay, those kind of questions. So, I mean, okay, so still you can do your testing, okay? It's up to you how you want to make it up, okay? So, and if you're coming into Agile, let's say you're trying to move Agile, they're trying to remove those documentations because, they think that it's too much time for documents, but really it's not going to happen completely. There will be still documents. Okay, so here I know we talk about this BRD document. Okay, BRD is business requirement document. Okay, and what does it contain? It contains information about 10 to 20% of use cases, business model, and budget information. All this information, this BRD document contains. So let's see this document, how this document looks like. Okay, you want to see these documents. So here, let's go to here testing documents. So I'll be giving you access for this. Okay, don't worry about it. You'll be having this access. You can view these documents. Go to here business requirements and. Oops. Okay. Now let's see one of this document that is from MasterCard. Okay, and let's see those documents. So that is BRD, okay, business requirement document. So this BRD is more related for ETL perspective. If you're actually working on ETL projects, okay, or anything which is okay. So that's what we just downloaded. So you want to see this. Oh, this takes more time. Okay. You want to see this and view this document and let's see here. Wow. Okay, so this will take few time. For some reason, it's supposed to display here itself, but okay. So okay, so we'll see this how this document. So this is a business requirement document. It contains information about the project. Okay, what the project is all about, and what. So you have to start writing your test cases based on this requirement document. Okay, so based on that, you want to start writing your document. But you can also write test cases based on the user story. Okay, what we have discussed, right? Based on the user story, you can also start writing your document. Oops, 48 MB. Okay, so next time. So somebody asked a question, right? Does all the document related with diff domain? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by diff and diff. Okay. So this domain is Mastercard, right? It's a banking, okay? Credit card, most to be more specific, it's more related to credit card. And okay, great. Now let's see here. Um, okay. Okay, so this is BRD, okay, and this contains all the information. So based on this, you have to start writing your test cases. So not always. So here we had this application ready, web application, right? We had this ready, and we started writing test cases based on that application. But not always the scenarios will be the same. Your scenarios will be always different. So you have to start write your based on the data. Okay, there's a lot more information. If you see here, there's too much information, but for you as a tester, you may not really grasp all this information at once. So you want to read it more than once, twice, thrice until you get it. But not always is required. Everything is not required. You have to see, let's say they've underlined, right? Let's say you want to see that is information is required for your, writing your test cases. Okay, based on this, you want to start it. So this is business requirement. So here you want to, so see here, business. So this is actually the requirement, and you want to see what's happening here, and based on this, you can start writing your test cases. Okay, so there's not so only the risk, only the whatever is related to you, you want to start writing. So okay, so that's that's about BRD. Let's go to the next one. We have FRD document. FRD is functional requirement document. So this document is more related for functional testing. So we are trying to do some functional testing, right? So all this functionality and features of an application will be there. Okay. So let's see here. There's a FRD document for Celgene. So let's see here. This is how it looks like. Okay, this is who is the responsible guy and who is the owner, and they have to sign here. Okay. Oh, still is. You know what? Let's just download this too, and we will see. Okay, and so this is, this is the requirement. This is FRD. Why it has to contain all the functionality and features of an application. Okay, FRD means it contains all the functionality and features of an application. So here, let's say you have to start writing your test cases based on this. Okay, now let's see here. So here, if you see here, this has information here, right? So you want to start write this. Write your test cases from this. Okay, this is the major important thing. So let's try to relate this. Okay, let's try to relate this with our application. But this is not FRD for this application. Okay, this is GMO. This is for, and this is for Celgene. Okay, but I'm just trying to see how you can relate to this. Okay, let's try to order. Let's say you want to test this. Okay, you want to test all these fields. Okay, these are all fields, right? Now, let's see here what this mean by this. Just put it here. That's good. And now, what happens is, it says like first name maps to first name field value. Okay, we have this name. Okay, so that means it contains both first name and last name. And last name has its field value. Okay, and so it's only for one. So present address maps to address field value. That means they're trying to say the static text. Address is actually the static text, and they are trying to say that you have to also validate this field value. That means field value is this one. Okay, and then you have city. That's good. We also have city. That means it is mapping to the field value. That city is field value. Okay, so and then again similarly state, state and zip and all those things. So this is what the requirement says. Okay, this is how the requirement will be. Okay, this is not requirement for this. Again, don't get confused. This is not really a requirement for this. But I'm trying to relate. If there is information here, how you can actually imagine in an application. Okay, you have to imagine that that this is first name. That means there's a first name, static text, and there's a field value. Okay, the first name is good. Field value is this box. You see this box? So that's what it means. That means it's related to it's maps. Okay, it maps to this one. So that's how you have to. Similarly for all other fields. Okay, so that's how this FRD document looks like. Yeah, so somebody asked a question, right? As a QA tester, you need to write as per BRD or FRD. So BRD is more related to ETL perspective. So if you are doing ETL testing, that's you need BRD. QA, on the other hand, is more related to the FRD, functional requirement document. Okay, these two things are different. Don't be confused. So if you are working as an ETL tester, then you most probably you will be requiring requirement document BRD. But if you're QA, you may not really always need to see this BRD. You can work through the party. Okay, this is the party. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the next one.
Hi, Manu.
Yeah, hi.
I have a question. You said when we are working as a ETL tester, we have to go through the BRD, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and if we are working as a QA lead, then we have to go through FRD documents.
Hold on.
So who
QA
creates BRD and who creates
no,
FRD?
no. A QA lead is a completely different. If you're working as QA, quality analyst, yes, you have to go through this FRD.
But who create FRD? BRD create business analyst person, right? But who create FRD?
Business analyst.
Okay.
Okay. So, there might be different business analysts. Two people might be working on, one people might be working on BRD, one people on FRD. Okay, it can be, something like that. Okay. And they'll get a lot of inputs from architect people. So how this should be designed, how the business wants, and all those communication will be from business analysts and architect and developers. Okay. So somebody asked, FRD is more tester's perspective. No, FRD is related to, yes, if you are testing it, you require this document. Okay, but it is, see, all these documents are made keeping a lot of people on mind. Okay, because there will be a scrum master, there will be a QA tester, there's a QA lead, there's a manager, QA manager. Okay, there's an architect. Okay, a developer, and the developer, then a business analyst. You see this, lot of people are here. So it's near, we cannot say this is for QA, this is for developer, this is for business analyst. No, it's not like that. It's that is made keeping a lot of people on mind. Okay, but you have to take it as a reference as a QA. Yes, you have to take this as a reference, and you have to work on that. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next SRS. So SRS, system requirement specification. Okay. What does this contain? This contains information about the system. Okay, let's see here. I also have this. Oh, here you go. System required specification, and this contains information about the system. Okay, this is a little bit high level. Okay, high level, again, when I'm saying this high level means for a tester, it's not really always required to understand everything. Okay, this might be required. Is there some problem here? Okay, so let's download these two. Okay, so here this contains information about the system. Okay, that means it's a high level. That means, let's say there's a server, how many people are accessing it, and how many, how things are, how many tools it is getting connected. Okay, and all those things, how many computers is being connected. So all this, contains in the SRS document. Okay, it's system requirement specification. Okay, so that's but as a QA, you may not always use that. Okay, you may not really require that every time, but if you want to, that's good to know, because you might also require some testing perspective. If you need more information, sometimes you need more information. Okay, you don't understand something because developers will be saying something and you see the documents or something, so in that case you want to refer that. Okay, but this is more high level perspective, so you may not always have access, nor you might, but it's good to know. Okay, okay, so then you have this PDM. PDM is physical data model. Okay, so I have this. Okay, you can refer this. Okay, I'll be giving you access by today, so you can refer this. Some reason it's not opening. We start my session. So here in this PDM, it contains physical data model. What is physical entity? Anyone? So physical entity is a table, okay, and logical entity is views, okay. So PDM contains the information about physical entity. Let's see here. And it contains information about a lot of information about the table, okay. What's the table? So this is more related to ETL perspective, okay. This PDM and LDM are more related to ETL perspective, and there is something. See here, this is how this is happening. This is a table, the tables, how this is related to each other, and all those things. Okay, it contains a PDM document. Okay, let me. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, there's three tables, and for example, okay, it's not always three tables. It's more than that. Three tables and how it is related to each other, and all those things will be viewing in PDF physical data model. And there is something called, okay, again there is called LDM, logical data model. Okay, that what does it contain? It contains logical entity information. So Similarly, how you have for this for tables, you have also for this views. But the only thing is that's a logical entity. Okay, and that will be also similar to this. Okay, and so if you see here, this is if you see this diagram here. Okay, so this diagram, right? Now these are actually the tables. Okay, these are the tables, various tables, and now if you're working in here, so there's something called ER diagram, okay, entity relationship diagram. So that means it contains all the information about what is the primary key, what is the candidate key, if there is any composite primary key, and all those things, right? How it is related. See, this is the primary key and related to that foreign key. So all this information, where do you find? You find in ER diagram, entity relationship diagram. Okay. So how much the table is? Okay, this is the table, and these are the columns. Okay, these are the columns. And this is another table, how it is related to each other, then this information will be stored right here. Okay, so this is so this will be separate. Actually, ER diagram will be separate, not in the PDF, but you know um, it contains all the information about your data warehouse. What testing are you doing, and so all this is. Okay. So that actually the chart actually is much more bigger than this. Okay, that will be a big chart, and you have to look through it. Okay, so this is PDM and LDM. LDM is logical data model, which contains information about logical entity, that is views. Similar, the way it is here is similar. Only thing is it's for views. Okay, and this is for tables. Okay. Now let's go to the HLD. Now, HLD is high-level design document. Okay. Now, what does it contains? It contains information about call flows. Okay, understand this call flows. Okay. So let me give some. Let's see. Let me give some idea on this. Okay. So flow chart, right? Flow chart. You have a start, end. Okay. So, thing like that. You have rectangular box. Okay. You have square box. You have this rhombus box if you have decision you're making. So let me give you an example how we use this. So let's take an example here, IVR. Okay, IVR is interactive voice response. Okay, say that's interactive voice response. Now, what is that exactly? Is let's say you're calling Bank of America, right? You want to call your Bank of America, right? Your bank, and you want to know your account information and the savings account, checking account, all those things. But whenever you want to call, if not a real customer picks up the call, right? I mean, real customer executive doesn't pick the call. He will take so much time. It took almost 15 minutes to 1 hour. Sometimes they take too much time. So what you have is, that IVR, interactive voice response. That means they'll say, okay, please press 1 for English, press 2 for Espanol, okay, so on. Now, for when you're doing that, and it gets more and more information, like, okay, please enter your PIN, please enter your SSN, enter your account information. So you have this flow, right? If you put some wrong answer, it goes to the next flow. If you put some right answer, it goes to another flow. Okay, and if you do nothing, it goes to another flow. That's for customer service. Okay, like that. So all this is documented, called HLD document. Okay, those are call flows. Call flows means flow chart. Okay, you understand this flow chart? It has the rhombus box, and you have this for the decision. If you make this rhombus, if it's yes, put another flow. If it's no, another flow, and if it's nothing, then it's another flow. Okay, so all this is documented, called high-level design. So here, so I don't have this, but see this one. And, okay, so that's high level. Then you have this another called TDD, technical design document. So what does this technical design document contains? Let's say you're working in ETL, right? You have job scheduling tool. Okay, so this is something called job scheduling tool. Okay, for example, Autosys. Autosys is a job scheduling tool. Okay, the first question is, why do we need this? Why do we need job scheduling tool, right? That's a good question. Why do we need this job scheduling tool? So what happens if you know go back? So I told this we have three environments, right? Three environments, that is dev environment, test environment, and production environment. Okay, let's say there's too much of data, too much terabytes of data, a lot of data, and you want to move from one environment to another environment, that is from dev to test, test to production. Okay. Okay, so now we'll just see, I'll just come to that question. Okay, so you want to move all this, from dev environment to test environment, and from test environment to production. Now you cannot say to me, just use copy and paste. Okay, so that's not even an answer. Okay, you cannot say that copy and paste. You want to move whole data. This is terabytes of data, a lot of customers of information. You have to move that into this particular environment. You use something called Autosys. Okay, Autosys is one of the examples. It's called job scheduling tool. But what's there exactly? It contains a lot of which job should be kicked. Okay, if you kick this job, what happens? That means a particular table, data from a particular table or data from 2-3 tables moves into this. Again, there's independent jobs, dependent jobs, daily jobs. Okay, there's something which is runs continuously every day. That means whatever this is used when get used to this data warehousing. Okay, that's what, because you have to move from one environment to another environment, and so you have this lot of jobs. Okay, dependent jobs, independent job, and which is independent, which is dependent, which job has to be kicked. All those will be documented in technical design document. It's called TDD. It contains kind of square boxes. You can take it as flow chart, and you can have this as a flow chart. But this shows which job have to pick and which not. Okay. Okay. So somebody asked a question, right? What is the use of PDM? So what's the purpose of PDM? So physical data model is that's a good question. For a tester, it's really not that useful. But for this is related for more for architect level of people who want to design this whole, the structure, the whole structure for the how the data should flow from one end to other end. So how this table structure is there, how it is to be designed, how many keys should be there. Okay, and all these things, right, is related to architect people who design this from scratch. Okay, from them it is useful. For a tester perspective, just only to read and see if you can understand. So okay, so that is next. Let's go to the test plan document. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we have this STM. So let's talk about this STM. This is so somebody asked, right? So HLD is a high level design document. So what does it contain? So given an example, right? It's an IVR, interactive voice response. Whenever you call the Bank of America, right? There's call flows. There is a call flow. Okay. Okay. There's a call flow. Like if you are saying correct answer, it moves to the next flow. If you are saying wrong answer, it moves to the another flow. And if you are saying nothing, it goes to another flow. Right? The flow, call flows. Okay. That is documented here. That's called HLD. Okay. And so somebody asked, it's a document is created as per the requirement. All these documents are created by different people. Okay, not just one or two people. Yes, it's based on the requirement. Okay, whatever the requirement is, they will be creating. Business analysts, some of the documents, maybe architect people might be using this. They might be also creating. Okay, they might also create HRD. I'm sorry. PDM, LDM, they might also do, with their inputs and their leads. Okay, developer lead will be also there. So they will be also working on this. So a lot of people is involved. Okay. So yes, it's based on the requirement. Okay. Let's talk about this STM. I think just look at it. So STM is source to target mapping document. Okay. I think download this. Let's see here. So we'll just go to this. Mapping documents. Let's take this one. Okay, good. Now this is STM. Okay, this is source to target mapping document. So what does it contain? It contains all the information about the source and target and staging too. If you have anything staging, it contains that too. Okay, and this is more related for ETL perspective. And let's see here. So let's go one by one. So this is, this contains as I told you, this contains information about, let's say this is about target and this is about the source. Okay, these two things. Okay. Now, this is called BDW. BDW means business data warehouse. Okay, there's EDW, BDW. EDW is enterprise data warehouse. BDW is business data warehouse. Okay, and this contains, this column names. So all these are columns. Okay. Now you need to start writing test cases based on this. Okay, these are the columns. And this is column data type. That means these are the columns. And what is the data type it is? It's the integer, or varchar, there is variable character, date, or so on. So this is the data type. Next you have BDW target PK. PK is primary key. Okay, primary key is unique, not null. So here, if you see here, there's only one. There's 1, 2. So these are all primary keys. Okay, 2, 3. Now, if one table contains more than one primary key, it is called composite primary key. Okay, so this contains. This is a composite primary key. Okay, and so all this information is STM, source to target mapping. Okay. And let's go to the source. Okay, now so far we were talking about this target. Now this is the source. Okay, this is the source, and it has source field name. Okay, this is the field name, and data type. What data type it is, and mapping rule. Okay, transformation logic. This is the transformation logic. Okay, sometimes it's easy that just put the SQL and you just need to copy it and do it, or sometimes you have to write your own SQL based on this. What is doing here and how do you actually write the so this is what it contains in mapping document. Okay, this is STM, source to target mapping. Okay, so let's go to here next page. So now we have this test plan document. So test plan document is a high level document prepared by the QA lead. Okay, lead will be preparing it. But if lead is preparing, doesn't mean that you are idle. Okay, you have to give your inputs. So this is how it looks like. So I'll be giving homework on this. We can see here. So this is okay. What does it contain? So it contains information about, let's say, testing it, trying to test. So what does it contain? It contains risk. Okay, testing risk, items to be tested, not to be tested. Test fail criteria. Okay, test derivatives, all this contains in test plan document. This is how it looks like. Okay, this is test plan. Okay, so let's go to the next. Test plan is a high level document. Okay, prepared by the QA lead. Okay, now again, if your lead is preparing, doesn't mean that you are idle. No, QA lead, it's not my job. No. You have to give your inputs, like what you have to include, what not, based on your experience, what it should be there, all those things, you have to include that. Yes, test plan document is prepared by the QA lead. Okay, so let's go to next one. Now here is again the document called test strategy document. Okay, test strategy documents is difference between the test plan and test strategy. Okay, but sometimes they will say that both are same, because actually technically it's not same. Okay, so going to more detailed information, it's not same. It's two different things. Okay, test plan is actually prepared by the lead, and test strategy is prepared by the project manager. Okay. It contains information about all this, whatever the information which is not there in the test plan contains. So you also have this test strategy now. Let's see here. Okay, so it's actually different. Okay, it's different, but if the company is saying no, both are same, so go with the flow. Don't argue with them. Now I know test plan is different, test strategy is different. This is you don't have to argue on that. So you just go with the flow. If they're saying is both are same, then both are same. Okay, but technically it's not same because strategy defines the this, how you are approaching if there is any risk. What is the another option? What you're taking when you have this risk, and how the strategical analysis. Okay, how this strategy of preparing in this contains information. Okay, so let's go to the next test cases. So we know test cases, right? Test cases is a high-level document prepared by the QA tester, QA analyst. Okay, what does it contain? It contains information about you have written, right? What is the expected results, the actual result, and the comments. Okay, what is the comment is there, and this step ID. So all this information contains the test cases. The test case is a high-level document. Okay, that's what I want to say. High-level document. That means you're testing, right? You're testing, but again, we have to cover a lot of testing. Positive scenarios, negative scenarios, boundary values, cosmetic testing, a lot of things. So that's why I said high level, because you cannot include all this, but you still specifying in one of your test case to make sure you're doing this. Okay, so that's the meaning of high level testing. You cannot document each and every part from a web application, but you want to tell them that yes, we have tested this particular module. So that's the meaning of high level document. Okay, so should we? Okay, is it audible now? Is it audible now? Can everyone hear now? Okay, so test cases is a high-level document prepared by the QA tester. Okay, and there is um, there's something called migration document. Okay, so migration document contains information about you're migrating. Okay, let's say you want to migrate from Teradata to Oracle. Okay, the way you require this document is like, let's say the senior guy who's working from 10 years on this migration project, and suddenly he left the job. He left the job, and no one knows about, because there's a Teradata SQL, Oracle SQL, two are different things. You have to do a lot of work there, so nobody knows about it. But that only the guy who used to work on this left the job. So you want to document it so that if new guy comes, they will be able to understand it. So what's happening? Okay, what's happening between this? How many data we are getting from different sources? So all those things. That's the reason of migration now. Okay. Any questions so far? So let's go to next topic. We'll see the SDLC process. Okay. Now SDLC. There's actually three things. Okay. SDLC, STLC. Yeah. So test strategy document is a document normally prepared by the project manager. Okay, it contains statistical analysis of the project. Let's say if there's some issue, there's environment stuck, how are you approaching on that? Okay, so that's the strategy document. But in real time, they might say both are same, so go with the flow, don't argue with them. Okay, now this is the strategy, this is plan. Don't worry about it. But technically, it's different. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next one, SDLC. Okay, SDLC is software development lifecycle. So there are three things: SDLC, STLC, bug lifecycle. Okay, SDLC is software development lifecycle. STLC is software testing lifecycle. Okay. So what happens in so SDLC, right? What is SDLC? It is a framework. Okay. Now somebody asked, in one of the classes, okay, hey, can you give me access to SDLC? Okay. It's not a software. It's not a tool. It's not something which you can do. It's a, it's a framework. Okay. That means this is supposed to be put by a management perspective. Okay. Management has to decide how the requirement flow should be there, how this design should be continued, how this development, all these things, right, is supposed to be done from the management. And since we are in the system, we need to know this process. It is a process. It's a framework. It's not a tool, not a software. It's okay. So it's nothing like that. It's a framework because you're in the system, so you need to know how the process works, right? So that is SDLC. So SDLC is software development lifecycle. So let's see here. So all these slides are there here. Okay. So you can look into this and go to directory number 26, and you'll be finding all this information, whatever slides you're looking for, all those things is right here. Okay. Okay. So go to SDLC. Okay. So as I told you, it's a framework. That means it's just a process. It's a process how you perform these daily activities. Okay. That's called SDLC. Okay, let's go to one of this model. It's called waterfall model. Okay, this is derived from SDLC process, and you see here. Now this contains, so this SDLC, right? This is pretty big actually. Okay, let's see here. SDLC. So there is, if you see here, now it contains 10 phases. These are the phases. What does SDLC contains? It contains phases. So there are 10 phases, but I'll be sticking to only 6 here. Okay. If you think you require more information, you require to understand more, then maybe you can refer this. Okay. Here it goes more into detail, but let's not go detail here. We'll just stick to the 6 phases. Okay. The first phase, requirement phase. What happens in this requirement is, okay, so let's see, this is the requirement phase. What happens is business analyst, okay, or product owner, usually called product owner. So, okay, business analyst gathers all these documents. Okay, gathers all the documents. They talk to the, they talk to their peers. They talk to architect people, and they say, okay, this is the business, this is what business requires, this is how this should be look like. Okay, so all this, so this is the job of a business analyst. Okay, they will be responsible for creating all these documents, and so all these documents, FRD or BRD, those are prepared by this, and user stories too, prepared by the business analyst. Okay, now this, the next is the design phase. So this is the job of a architect guy. So, the people, architect, they look the requirement, they see the requirement. Okay, this is how it should be designed. This is the structure should be. This is how the data should accept. This is the tables and all those things. Okay, so that's the design phase. Now let's see. Next you have this implementation phase. In this phase, this is the job of a developer. Okay, ordinary developer. He starts coding. He starts coding and see what is required and what is not. All those things. Okay, now the testing phase. So here, you actually execute your test cases, see this it's working fine or not. All this, defects and all this you open in this particular phase. Okay, now there is a installation phase. In this installation phase, what happens is this is the job of actually middleware team who actually moves the data from, told you right, from one environment to another environment. Okay, from test to production. So that's the job of a middleware team. Okay, you have to coordinate. Developer has to coordinate with this middleware team to make sure all the data is migrated successfully to another environment. Okay, then you have this maintenance phase. Normally, the senior QA or QA lead actually works on this maintenance phase and to make sure if there is any production issues or there's bugs in the production, how you're going to fix it, all those things. Okay, so this is about waterfall methodology. Implementation stage. Somebody asked implementation stage. Can we call as coding stage? No, don't. It's you don't want to be being getting to details. Okay, you don't want to say implementation. Keep it simple. Implementation. What is implementation? You are implementing something. Okay, you're developing something. So that should be. You have to be more into high level. Whenever you want to talk, you want to be in high level. You don't want to go into specific. That is more specific related. And that doesn't mean that implementation is only coding. There's a lot other work to do. Okay, a lot more things to do, with the coding. So you want to keep it a little high level, saying the implementation phase. Yes, in this phase you are doing coding. Okay, no, you are not doing coding. Okay, dev people are doing coding here. Okay, not you. You will be doing. So okay, let me ask you this question. So as a QA tester, right? You're a QA. In which phase does your job start? Can anyone answer? As a QA, which phase? So black box testing is nothing to do with SDLC process. Okay, there is a one type of testing. This is okay. There is one type of testing which actually is done by testers. This is nothing to do with black box or this is more high level than those. It's pretty high level. You will be doing one part. Like if you say black box, it means you are doing one part in this testing. We are not going in detail to this. Okay, that will be pretty much more detail into this. But okay, so black box.
Okay, Manu.
Yes.
I have a question that you said implementation. It's a coding, right?
Right.
After the design, after the decide the what structure we are using that application, the next is the implementation. In that, developers are coding that stage, right?
Right.
So that my question is that we can also call the coding stage like for understanding purpose, right? For implementation. And then as a tester, our job will start after the implementation, right?
Okay. So if you are saying that your job starts from after implementation, that is test. So do you think all this you'll be sitting idle for all these three phases? That's my question. Are you being idle? You're trying to do all this.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting your answer. Can you please repeat it?
No, my question was, you said tester will only start from testing phase, right? So you're saying that the tester will start from here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my question here is, so what happens to all these three phases? You will be sitting idle, or what are you going to do?
As a VR tester, we are not going to testing the implementation and the coding anything, but as per the requirement, we are doing the testing. So we link with the requirement, right?
Okay.
As per requirement, as per the client document, we are testing on that part.
Okay. Yeah, that is correct. You will be doing testing.
Yes.
But what happens is,
Implementations are in this waterfall module.
okay, so let me paraphrase this statement. So let's say this is a 6 months project, 6 months project, and this is now your job starts from fourth month. Okay, that is 3 months, and you were hired in the first month, and the fourth month will be your testing. So all the 3 months you are saying that will not do anything. Only because you said like we are starting from test, we have nothing to do with all this. So 3 months you'll be just doing nothing. Okay, so and client doesn't pay to be idle. Okay. So here's the thing. So our job as a QA.
If we enter in the companies in the middle of the project, right, we are not doing like it's a 6 month project. We didn't do anything in for 3 months, right? Then what's the next step we have to do?
Okay. Yeah. So as a QA, as a QA tester, our job will start right from the requirements. Okay. So our job will be starting right from here. So let's see what we are going to do here. Here, what happens is, business analyst gathers a lot of documents, right? There's a lot of documents and prepares all these documents. So what you are going to do is you'll be having a lot of meetings, and you are doing a brainstorming here. That means, okay, your lead will be there with you. So your lead will be saying, okay, we have this environment blocked. There's 3 QA environments we have blocked. How are you going to this project? How are you moving ahead with this project? Okay, and what if something is happening because there's a lot of issues going on with the environment? How are you going to move? So all this is called brainstorming. Okay, because you're blocked, you don't know how to move, all this, and there's a new environment that has to be set up. How are you moving to this new environment? So all this brainstorming work you'll be doing in the requirement phase. And if you are good with it, you might also find issues with the requirements. So they give you the requirement document. You'll see these issues. Really, this, if you can able to find it, that's great, but it's not necessary. Okay. So you might also find issues with the requirement too. You have to also raise those kind of issues. Okay. Not always with the rally. Maybe you can check with the lead. Okay, this is the issue we find with this document. Is this the issue, or how are we going to proceed? Okay. So that's called brainstorming for testers. Okay. This is where you have to start. Now design. Testers will be working on, as I told you, this lot of documents, right? You have to prepare test plan document, test strategy document, and test cases. Okay, so a lot of documents you have to prepare, right? You cannot sit idle here. So what you do is start working on that. Okay, now test plan. I told you the test plan is working by the QA lead, but you are not sitting idle. You have to give inputs like, how is this, let's say you found something based on an experience, you're adding few modules, removing few modules. Based on that, you need to work on this design. Now, as a tester in the implementation phase, so that's the reason I didn't want to tell you the coding, okay, because in the implementation, you will be still working here. Okay, you will be still working. Now, what you'll be doing here is, let's say you finish this 3 documents, right? Test plan, test strategy document. Here, you want to work with your test cases. You have to write your test cases, right? Here is the time. This is the time you have to write. You cannot write in test. There's no time for you to write. Because testing will be really best time. 1 week, or that's it. So you want to start writing here on the implementation phase. Okay, write your test cases, because a lot of test cases maybe for Google, for different browsers. Let's say you're writing test cases for different browsers. That is Firefox, Chrome, okay, Safari, Microsoft Edge, and all those things. You want to do this in the implementation phase. You have no time to do any other time. Okay. Now testing phase. Here, that's right. You'll be executing your test cases and testing in this phase. Okay, that's what you're doing here. And there is installation phase. You will be coordinating. So what the tester's job here is coordination with the other team, like middleware team, or make sure that it is data, I mean, that's environment is moved, so all your code is moved to another environment. So you want to coordinate with various middleware team and make sure it's good. Maintenance phase. In this phase, as a tester, okay, you may not really require, but as a senior, as a lead, you may be working with the developers to make sure how to fix these issues in the production, how much time you have. Let's say, your lead said, okay, we found this issue, this need to be fixed in 1 day. Okay, that means you need to test this just right now and fix it. So this is about maintenance. Okay, so you still will be testing maintenance maybe because there's a production issue and there's an issue and you want to fix this as soon as possible. So you want to also test in production. So it's based on the project. It's to move quickly, so you have to do that. Okay. So does it make sense? So somebody said regression. So all this in the regression it will be completed in test. Okay. Okay, we have less time. So guys have this class, right? Let's finish this quickly. So we'll just go to, okay, so here, we'll just go to what are the strength and weakness. So the waterfall is, if you think the quality is more important than cost, you want to go for waterfall. And agile is completely other way of it. Cost is more important than quality, then you want to go for agile. Okay, because here you are taking 6 months, and in agile, 3 months, done project. But really that's, that's actually the kind of mentality of that is, but really it takes the same amount of time. But, the major products actually moves faster, so I think that is faster. But quality gets hampered at that time. So that's the thing. So first, advantage of waterfall is weakness of agile. This is good when quality is more important than cost. Okay, and agile is when cost is more important than quality. Okay, let's go to pretty quick here. So we have this V-shaped SDLC model. So the same SDLC process, this phase, the 6 phases is here too. But here you're doing a little different here. Okay, here you're trying to see here doing parallelly 2 things, right? Requirements and production and product and acceptance testing. So this is V kind of thing, right? You see this V, so that's the reason they named it V-shaped SDLC. And this is the coding. Okay. So but the same 6 phases also is here. Okay. So let's go to the next one. You can have this document. This document is a Google Drive giving you access to this. Yes. Anyone has questions? Okay. So there is something called RAD, Rapid Application Development. This is a part of this Agile. So when we go to this Agile, that is tomorrow, we'll work on this Agile and see how that thing works. Okay. Okay. So there is something called SDLC, incremental SDLC. Okay. This is also similar to SDLC. See here, the basic remains same. Okay. Basic remains same, and but you're actually doing here verification and validation. Okay, we're trying to do verification and validation. Okay, so somebody said right V-shaped. So V-shaped, it's okay. Let's go to. So it's similar to what we have SDLC process. Requirement planning. You know what is requirement, right? Requirement planning. But here you are doing 2 things parallel: production, operation, and maintenance. You are doing this as well as requirement. Okay, and then you have next phase. You have product requirements specification analysis. What you are trying to do here is system and acceptance testing. Both things you are doing simultaneously. Again, you have this high-level design. Okay, and your integration and testing. Okay, so all this is, if you know the SDLC, this is all this process of SDLC, but it's a different way of doing, different approach of the same thing. Okay, 2 things parallelly, we call it as V-shaped manner. Okay. Oh, yeah, we are running out of time, right? So yeah, somebody asked a question. Does unit integration system and UAT falls under manual or automation? So this is manual. Automation is after integration. Only after integration you will have to do this. Right. Yeah, that could also be the scenario. So developer and testers can also be work parallelly in vision. Okay. So let's see this quickly. We have one more. Okay, let's say incremental. Then let's go to the spiral SDLC model. Spiral means the similar. This again. You have the 6 phases, right? All the 6 phases will be here. Okay. Let me show you. We had this, design. You see this? We had design, implementation, requirements. Okay, but the only difference is you are dividing into 4 different quadrants. Okay, 4 different quadrants, and you are moving this from one quadrant to another quadrant in spirally. Okay, that's why it's called spiral SDLC. Okay. So let's move to the next one. These are all derived from SDLC model. Okay, all this waterfall and helical and spiral. Okay. So agile, I'll take a whole class in agile and see, we'll go more detail into this. And so agile, agile is more, it's also methodology. Okay, agile is also methodology, but it has sub-modules. Okay, this is a Kanban, this is Scrum. Okay, this is rapid application development, then XP, extreme programming. So all these are part of this agile. Okay, those are the part of this agile. So, okay, so we'll just close this and. Oh, that's a very good question. Somebody said, right, how each slide is important. That's a very good question. So all this is really not required. Only thing you want to see is various methodologies. And try to see this advantages and disadvantages. That's what it is important. That's right. Not everything is not required. Just try to see this methodology, what methodology, spiral, and incremental SDLC, and see its advantages and disadvantages. That should be good. So let's go to the next one. Then you have this STLC. So STLC is software testing lifecycle. Okay, I'll just move quickly here. So here you have what you do in STLC's test plan. So we know test plan, right? We prepare this test plan. Test case design, test execution, and log preparation. So, okay, we'll just go here. So test execution is as I shown you, right? If you've seen this user story. Okay, so we have done as test. Log preparation is, what the log you're putting, right? That's the documents, that's a document and putting all these documents you're attaching here. Okay, so here is okay, so test execution. So we have prepared this test cases, right? So this is test case creation. Okay, this is what it means by test case creation. And then we have test case, test case design, and then your test execution. We have executed, right? You see this execution? Okay. So people might not be seen properly. So this is the execution part. Okay, we have executed and it said this passed. Okay, that is the execution test. So we have done this. Okay. So, and then you have defect tracking. So we open defects, right? And you want to track this. Okay, because you got this number, defect number DE506 and all this. You want to track it. That's called defect tracking. And then you have test report preparation. So we have seen this reports too, right? Remember, go to the reports and prepare. So that is the STLC process. So we have done STLC too. Test plan preparation, test case design, test execution, and test log preparation, defect tracking, and test report preparation. Okay. So this goes more into detail of each one, which we have already done it, right? So even this slide is there. You can refer it. Okay. So let's go pretty quick here. Next one. Now the next is bug life cycle. Okay, bug life cycle is Okay, so what we are discussing here is this new open assign test verified close. Okay, so what we are actually discussing here. Okay, so you want to see here. So yeah, so here, so we are discussing. If you are saying bug life cycle, so we are, let's go to the bug, and so we have opened this bug, right? So that's what we are talking about. So this is life cycle of bug. Okay, what's bug life cycle is we are actually talking about the status here. Okay, let's see here. Let's open this. See here, when the defect is new, what happens? Open, fixed, close. Okay, so let's go here. So once you open this, defect, you put it in open status. Make sure you always put it in open status. Okay, you don't want to put in submission and say forget. Okay, you cannot say that. You have to put in open status and you assign it to particular developer. Okay, once it is assigned, it's actually there should be one more box. It's fixed. Once it's fixed, you want to again test it again, verify it, and close it. And this is a happy path, and it's not always the same. Sometimes once you assign to the developer, they get rejected. So it's not a defect. It's not a defect, it gets rejected. Or it's a deferred. Deferred means it goes to your next release, next cycle. Okay. And then that's one flow. The another flow is, let's say you're reopening a defect. Let's say you found this is not fixed. You have to reopen it, and once you're reopening, you have to be very careful because developer doesn't like this. Why it is open when it is fixed? So you want to have a meeting with developer saying that this is the issue, and have to fix that. Sometimes it's non-reproducible issues where you can see it and developer cannot. In that case, you want to have really meeting with developers so that they get an idea what's happening. So those kind of things are actually okay. So we were talking about the defect state. So what happens once you submit, open, fixed, close. This is what. So we have already done that one here. So that's what we were actually. That's it called defect life cycle or bug life cycle. Any questions so far? Okay, so all these slides, whatever is there here. Okay, these are all whatever we have talked. It's here. Okay, STLC in the bug life cycle, STLC, everything is there, which is located here in this particular directory. Okay, so if anyone have any questions in this, you can reach me out. So I'll be giving access for this, and there's a lot of things here. Okay, they're not just one. You have a lot of things. You can view this, all these things, and it's up to your time. If you have any time, you can just, or else just view whatever is required for your testing perspective. Okay, if no questions, can we close this class for today? So we'll talk this tomorrow. We'll be working on Agile. Okay, so we'll go in detail in this Agile, and if you have any questions, we can also work on this. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys.